All
Okay.
right.
All
This is
right.
the first time I'm using.
Okay. All right. Great. So we're going to get started. This is the libp2p biweekly for September 24, 2018. Basically, what I want to try to do today is lock down the OKRs. Here, I'll post the doc in the chat, and then I'll give a brief update on where we are with the OKRs. I want to skip or at least push to the end the part where we talk about what each person is doing. If we have time, let's come back to that at the end. But I just want to make sure we can finalize the OKRs basically, today or tomorrow. So, so here's where we are on OKRs. So first off, if you're not aware, there's a calendar link in the doc. There's a 2-hour block. It's not entirely libp2p, but I think most of it is libp2p. I'll be presenting for the project overall. Then Cole will be presenting for Go libp2p. Then, sorry, I forgot who's presenting for JS libp2p. I guess it's David.
No, I'm doing that.
Oh, okay, great. And then for Rust, I'm signed up to present. Pierre, would you like to speak to the Rust OKRs for on that call? You're muted if you're speaking.
He has no reliable internet connection.
Okay. I'll sort that out with you over email. But otherwise, I can present for Rust. And then yeah, that's the plan. So for Q3 scoring, I've pinged a couple people. Cole isn't on this call, but he has a score he needs to get in. I think there's a couple other people. If you received an email or a notification from me this morning, then I'm still waiting for a score from you. I wasn't planning to go over the scoring on this call. We'll do that on Thursday. But if you got a ping from me, I'm hoping you can respond. So here's where I want to focus the bulk of our time this week. Oops, that was Q3. Okay, so this this document is the Q4 OKRs. So let me just try to, sorry, it's always a struggle with the Zoom controls and everything. So let me just try to explain the premise of this document. A bunch of us got together last week and talked about this on Thursday, but not everyone was there. I'm trying to radically simplify things compared to last quarter. I got a lot of feedback that last quarter's spreadsheet was like so complex people couldn't understand it, and even I was having trouble understanding it by the end of the quarter. So there are four real tabs and then one kind of back burner tab. This first tab, the one you're looking at right now, is for overall project objectives and key results for Q4. Then we have a tab for Go, a tab for JS, a tab for Rust, and then this thing called backlog is where I'm pushing items that I don't think make the cut for being in the OKRs, but they're not necessarily bad KRs. A lot of them are carry forwards from Q3. So like Go has a bunch of things where I've asked Cole to prepare the Q3 OKRs tab, but if he wants to bring some of these back into Go, then that's fine. But I didn't want to just automatically force them all in. So let me just talk quickly about the project one, and then so basically I'm trying to condense this down to the other mistake I think we made last quarter, to back up for a second, is we had a very, very large number of KRs, and then we said, well, we're only going to grade ourselves on the P0s. And in hindsight, I think that was a mistake. I think what we should have done is have an achievable number of KRs, a stretch, but basically possible, and then say we're going to grade ourselves on everything. Because the way it worked out last quarter, it's sort of like anything that wasn't P0, it became an excuse to just ignore it. And a few of them actually got worked on anyway, but then they don't count toward the toward the final scoring. So it just seemed that that whole system seemed well-intentioned but messed up to me. So what I want to do this quarter is put in KR, have every KR be something we honestly believe we're going to do, and it doesn't. Obviously, we target about a 0.7, so 3 out of 10 of the KRs aren't going to get done or get fully done or whatever. But I think we should try to set goals that we believe are challenging but achievable, rather than just put everything in the sheet. For the overall project, let me just talk about this quickly, and then we go to the language ones. We still have this KR about libp2p being a first-class project. I think the biggest thing that we need is a roadmap, and then once we have that, we need to develop a KPI, a key performance indicator, which is a quantitative number that we track every quarter, year in, year out, about showing how the project is doing. So for us, that's going to be percentage of features on the roadmap completed. So you can see how that depends on the one before it. Then the second objective is quality and dependability. This is what we spent most of the call on last week. You can watch the video. It's on the YouTube channel. But basically, a lot of people, I think, felt. I think there's a very strong consensus on the call that we don't have enough documentation, and it's reaching like a tipping point, and we've got to just do more documentation work. The third one is about attracting outside contributors. I'm planning to delete this. You can give me feedback in a second, but basically the language specific tabs have KRs around hiring X number of developers or X number of dev shops. So I don't think it makes sense to duplicate it here. So this one will probably go away. 3 is closely related to 5, which is about event organizing. So just the context on this is that last quarter, we spent a lot of time organizing events, and we had not planned for that. And so I had a chat with Juan, and I said, hey, a lot of libp2p's time is going into event organizing, and it's not actually a KR for us. And he pointed out to me that that's probably, that's more likely a deficiency in the KRs than it is a deficiency in the system. So this time around, I want to budget time in advance on the assumption that there are going to be little events like Lab Day that come up that we weren't anticipating. So I just want to, I'll probably take ownership on those, but I just want to budget time for those. And then jumping back to number 4, we want to do more to support downstream users, particularly in the blockchain community. There's a lot of interest in this. I'll let Raul speak to it in detail, but this is like a project level goal. And yeah, let me see what's in the chat, and then
yeah. So I just
go
wanted
ahead
to quickly jump in there. Yeah. Just to give kind of like an update of where we're moving. So Ethereum 2.0, they had a bi-weekly implementers call, and in the last call 2 weeks ago, there was an agenda. There wasn't really an agenda topic on this. Somebody brought it up in the call about are they going to use libp2p or not? And it was basically there's a very high confidence right now that they'll end up using libp2p. There's been significant research in terms of PubSub, in terms of discovery as well. That's kind of like a fringe that they're working on right now. But essentially the sentiment is that. So given my background in libp2p and Ethereum, I'm going to be helping out and supporting them with their sort of like challenges and code reviews and so on. I'm actually joining the implementers call this week, and I propose to kind of just be there to provide support and so on, and to speak about the daemon particularly, because this is of high interest to them. And they actually made it a top-level agenda point. So there's going to be a few eyes on this, quite a few eyes on this. It's a very there's around 30 people joining, and it's an open call, and lots of people are watching over it. So what I wanted to ask from you guys, if it's possible, is especially for those people who are working on the daemon, it would be awesome if you could add issues for everything that we plan to work on, kind of like a feature list, right? I know that we've had a number of discussions, but given that the daemon is going to take a prominence and important, like it's going to be observed by a lot of people, it would be super useful if I could go into that call and basically speak about everything that we're going to build or that's on the roadmap for us in the next weeks. Is this possible? Maybe Stabalian, Viso, Biggs is not in the call. I can contribute to that. I know we've had a lot of discussions, but it would be awesome to nail it down to kind of like a feature list. So I'll just leave it out there. And yeah, I think that's an update on my side.
Okay, that's great. That's great. I want to pause at this point for questions, but wait, first, sorry, I can't see who's on the chat right now. Our Stab or Viso. Yeah. So Raul's posing the question of a feature list for the daemon. Is that something? How can we get that done? Or who should get that done? Yeah, go ahead.
So we have a motivation section, which I really, really want to flesh out before we start thinking features. But there's some there, but like I don't think it covers all the things we want to do. I think we should start out with like what we want to do first, then figure out the features we want to actually implement. But
exactly. So what's in my mind is sort of like a short-term, medium-term roadmap of what we have internally agreed to work on, so that we are prepared for others to pitch in as well, what they would like us to work on or what they would like to contribute. So ideally something that we have already agreed on. Because right now we have some great discussion there, but we haven't really landed it into feature.
Okay.
I'm trying to reflect this in the notes. So, Raul, it sounds like what we have right now isn't fully like satisfactory for what you want to do, which is give them some bullet points of what we're going to do. So
I can, yeah, of course. I can speak about the daemon and what's in my head right now, but that might not be the consensus across the group, right? So I want to make sure that we're on the same page, and I'm not committing us to do things that we haven't actually planned to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this calls the right time to do it, but it seems to me that all of the people who are either involved in the daemon or planning to consume the daemon need to kind of sync with each other on this. I don't know. I guess, Raul, can you try to push for a discussion of this? It can be on GitHub.
Okay, yeah, I'll take the lead on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks. It just seems like you're in the best position to. Sorry, I know you throw it out there, and I'm throwing the work back on you. But it seems like you're in the best position to
That's fine.
do this.
Yeah, I'll start that discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. So hey, I wanted to pause for a second. I ran through very quickly the first tab of this sheet. Anybody have questions, comments, opinions? I'm scanning through looking for hands. You can also just speak. Okay, so I'm going to take that as a no. I'm going to try to prioritize these P0, P1, and then I'm going to post what I've done on the. So each of these tabs has a corresponding issue on some GitHub repo. For this one, it's in libp2p/libp2p. It's like if you go to issues, I think it's the top issue or something. It's OKRs for Q4. So I'm going to try to make a pass on priorities, and then I'm going to ask for people's feedback, and I'm hoping we can do this async. So with that said, so you'll get a GitHub ping, and you're free to ignore it if you're not interested or you agree with all the priorities I set. But if you don't agree, absolutely like speak up. I'm not trying to be the dictator of this or something. I'm just trying to drive it forward. Okay, so I want to go to Go now. Unfortunately, Cole can't make it to this call today. He told me earlier this morning. So I had asked him to kind of wrangle the Go OKRs. and I think he will do that. There's a GitHub discussion in progress that Raul has contributed to. Do you want to speak to that for a minute, Raul? This is about the first objective, which is the actual features we want to implement this quarter.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so basically what I was justifying is, aside from Ethereum being a priority for me for next quarter, what I wanted to work on was the connection manager. There have been a number of discussions with a lot of ideas, and ideally we would land that into a spec, which I can take care of, and a reference implementation or an initial implementation. So some ideas that we've discussed are scoring, the way to trim down connections, different methods to trim down connections. We have discussed as well go away messages and polite goodbyes and so on. So these are some of the things that I would like to basically settle into a spec that everybody can contribute to and provide an implementation. And another thing that I'm interested in researching and kind of get it going a little bit is an alternative data structures for the DHT. So ideally, this would mean outwards, we basically implement, and there are no changes to the outwards protocol. We're still doing academia and interfacing outwards with the same behavior as we are right now. But internally, we're able to keep to make better use of the peers that we encounter and index them in a way that we can access their portions of the network tree in a quicker manner, requiring less academia search iterations, essentially. Any questions? Any feedback? Okay. It looks like it's a no. That's great. If anytime you want to provide feedback on this, if it makes no sense, if you think there are other priorities that we should be focusing on before, just feel free to comment on the ticket on the issue that this is being discussed.
Yeah. Okay. No. I think on these kind of calls, silence is a sign that nobody has anything to say right now, but they may have an opinion in the future out in the ether. So which is great. There's only one other objective. So right now, I don't want to spend the whole call on Go because we can do our own meeting on that. This feels pretty sparse right now. The only other objective is the waffle stuff, which is under an objective called well-maintained project. I think that's because Cole is going to add a bunch of stuff. I think, John, you're going to add some things. Is that right, Mr. Heisey?
I don't recall, unfortunately. Well, what did you have in mind?
I think we had talked about a couple of things you were going to add. Maybe let's just sync offline. I think we were going to talk later today. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But so I think this is going to get filled in with more features, hopefully. Then for JS, they're having a discussion. So the reason it's blank is because they're having their discussion. It's like everybody else in the GitHub issue, and I thought I pulled up. Oh, sorry, this is Go's.
I just pasted a link in chat to the version of our current working OKRs in the Markdown file.
Nice, thank you. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I knew you guys were figuring it out over here. Jacob, do you want to speak to this? Are there you blocked on anything? You guys always are the most organized team, so I'm least worried about you.
So I think we've kind of got it pinned down. I think the next thing we're gonna look at, because it's just me and Boshko, it's a lot of work. I think we've got the priorities nailed down, what we're gonna do. It's really about laying it out so that we can accomplish it by the end of the quarter. I'm imagining a couple things are going to fall off, and I've commented in the PR about that. I think one of the biggest things that we're taking on is trying to get a test bed of up to 50,000 nodes running. And I think that's going to have a lot of dependencies on what we're looking at with like Go interoperability and the daemon work. And so making sure, I mentioned in the pull request, it would be awesome if we took some time at Team Week to sit down and talk through like, what do we need to get a test bed running? Who do we need from infrastructure to make sure we have what we need to spin up that many nodes? to make sure that we're able to test things like DHT and IPNS over PubSub with the interop with Go, be able to spin up browser nodes and all of that. So that's going to be a huge blocker that I think that's going to require more than just the JS team to be able to do.
Yeah, hey, I'm glad you mentioned items for the discussion in Team Week. I created this repo. I'm the only person who's contributed to it so far because I don't think many people know about it. But this is where I'm hoping we can plan. Once we get this OKR stuff done next week, I want it to be all about planning Glasgow so that we can go in, organize, know what we want to accomplish, and so forth. But if you can, I don't care how people use this. Open an issue, open a PR. Like I have a couple PRs I'm going to open for things we want to talk about, and I'll paste this in the chat. Since this meeting only happens every 2 weeks, so what might happen on planning for Glasgow is you hear from me over email a little more vocally once the OKR stuff is out of the way on Thursday. But in the meantime, if you have any ideas, I mean, just log them here. They don't have to be well organized or well thought out initially, but let's try to get some ideas about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, I'll add one in there for the test bed because I think that's going to be big, and we'll probably have to have maybe a sub discussion about the daemon if we're not able to push more for standards for that before the week, which I imagine we probably won't because it's getting quick. It's almost there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you open an issue over there, but I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to remind people. The other thing that what you said, Jacob, sparked in my mind is Q4 is actually quite short. Basically, the first week of Q4 or Team Week is going to occupy the first half of October, and then a subset of people, the Go core devs, are even going to do an additional week beyond that. So then that's IPFS and libp2p. So we're cutting out like 3 weeks of October, and then at the other end, December is the holidays, so nothing's going to happen after like December 15. I mean, just realistically. So keep that in mind as we're setting OKRs. Like, I don't want it to be like last quarter where we set far more KRs than we can possibly achieve, because then it just feels it doesn't feel like something people should take seriously, and I want the OKRs to be something that we honestly believe in and take seriously. Let me jump to Rust for a second. Well, hold on. I'll just say questions. What? No.
I think Pierre dropped off.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I didn't. I'll speak to Rust, and I can talk to Pierre offline too. So basically, I think that the biggest two things we could do for Rust this quarter are one is just to lock down this agreement with Parity that Pierre and Toralf are maintainers. That's mainly just a business thing. We have an agreement in principle. It's just about PL and Parity Tech agreeing on a price, which I think is like I don't think there's going to be any issue there. Then the next thing I'd like to do is hire a dev shop. I'm having a really promising discussion over email going with these folks called Integer 32, and I won't go into the details right now, but I think that that's a promising one for us. We can also go to Parity Tech and see if they want to start a new engagement with additional people beyond Pierre and Toralf. So anyway, those are kind of the goals there. Pierre put in an awesome one, which is a non-advanced Rust user should be able to understand how Rust libp2p is architected in less than an hour. So this is like a docs goal, and he wants to take this on. And so I'm 100% like in favor of this. Then beyond that, interop is an issue. I'll take responsibility for fleshing this out, but I don't know. There's a broader discussion about interoperability testing that we need to do. I think maybe Team Week's the place to do it across all of the languages, and it also ties into better specs, because we're going to start having Java, a Java implementation. These could just be bindings to the Go daemon, but they also could be language bindings, but they also could be full implementations. But we're going to have at least Java and Python in the near future, and we can't continue to like centrally manage every language implementation. It's just going to be impossible. So we're going to need some kind of conformance tests that can be written in any language and validated that way. So maybe that's something we talk about in Glasgow. All right, and so then just as I mentioned, I moved a bunch of things to the backlog. If you want to resurrect any of these, feel free. Sorry that the structure is a little confusing, but project, the green row means that's what tab I deleted it from. And then, so the underneath Go green, it means I deleted it from here. And then I haven't deleted anything from JS and Rust, but this is just like a way to put stuff in the back burner so that the primary tabs are things that we actually are going to achieve. Any thoughts or comments or questions? I can't see. Okay, yeah. I don't see anybody raising their hand. So are people feeling okay about this? We're going to present this on Thursday, and it's a commitment from basically the KR owners to the community that this is what we're going to do. Are people feeling comfortable with generally how this is playing out?
I think for JS, we're pretty locked in. I don't think there's a whole lot of feedback. It's really just about making sure that we come together as a group and are able to create like the sub milestones over the course of the quarter to make sure we have things like the daemon and the testbed infrastructure in place to complete by the end of the year.
Yeah, I would say for the Go side of things, I'm a bit worried that we haven't really had a strong discussion or any people pitching in. I did try to get my notes in mid last week. So I would really hope for some people to review them, to contribute as well what they're going to be working on, and yes, so that we can together build the roadmap for this quarter.
Yeah, here's the issue Raul's talking about. I just pasted it in the chat. So Cole knows about this. He was out of he was on vacation or whatever for Thursday, Friday over the weekend. So I think that's why he hasn't chimed in. Maybe Steb Alien, you might want to take a look at this and see. First, do you agree or disagree? And second, do you think there are other things we should do that are not like Raul just posted his own thoughts here, but we could use more input, I think, for Go. Okay, I can't quite see your face.
I'll take a look.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah,
lots of still feedback.
No worries. Yeah, but I think yeah, you should take a look at this and give input, and we'll get it into the spreadsheet. Anybody else have any thoughts on the OKRs or concerns? John, I'll talk to you later in the day. We follow up. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is how it's shaping up. I will see all of you on the GitHub issues. If I'm not responding, it means I agree or I don't disagree. So that's why I don't respond on the JS one for most things, but I am following that discussion, and same for the Go one. Yeah, that's what I had for this week. We're 1 minute over, so I'm going to call it. Thank you, everyone.